appreciate the need for sustainable clean water, and we support the initiative. I just wanted to ask you a couple of quick questions in my interactions with landowners in the area. There were some things that arose, and I recognize that we may be dealing with more moderate or low issues here, which is fortunate. But I'm thinking in the whole solid field source water protection, there are some very susceptible areas, of course. So the questions, first of all, would relate to are there measures that ensure that there wouldn't be unrestricted access to private property without the landowner's approval or notification?
The Clean Water Act provides that everyone who's in an area where a significant risk could take place receive notice. So we have already contacted landowners several times. Now the risk management official in those areas well north. So this would be, I think Zurich is the southernmost well system that has significant threats. So this would be from Zurich up to like Listowel, Hingham, Harriston, Palmerston. In those areas, they will require a risk management official, and that person negotiates the better management practices with the landowners. So they would naturally go forward and make the normal phone calls, the contact, all the kinds of things you want to see. Just like any other bylaw enforcement officer, though, if no one responds, there are actions that are available.
So that's done at the outset. It's not necessarily for an ongoing issue. It's just a general notification.
Each landowner has received registered mail 3 or 4 times by now. Right? So it's very specific, and it will be very one-on-one.
Okay, very good. Just 2 other questions, if I could. Also, just some type of confirmation that there would be fair compensation for the loss of property value or the impairment of farm income or other type of income. How is that going to be dealt with?
Yes, the province has been really clear that there will not be a discussion of compensation. However, what they have done is they've put in place a stewardship plan. And this is a fund. So if someone, let's say, agrees to a best management practice that's going to cost some money, they can apply to this fund for, at this point, I think some of them are at 80 and 90% funding. So it's reasonably generous. I think it's that balance between public good and individual responsibility, and the province is hoping that it struck the right balance there by providing the stewardship fund to pay for any of the costs for best management practices.
So we don't really know how that's going to play out in the long term necessarily, whether there will be compensation for loss of property or loss of income.
Yeah, individuals, largely the properties impacted, and I'll just give you the area that I know. 100 meters around a municipal well is approximately 4 hectares. Most of those wells are already built over by residences. There's a series of them along the shoreline that's sort of cottages or year-round cottages on one side, maybe a little farmland or a bush on the other side. But for the most part, these are all completely built out. We found 13 hectares in our entire region, from down here to way up there, 13 hectares of agricultural land that was within a wellhead area in that 100 meters around a well. So again, it's not a huge, overwhelming kind of problem. Some of the municipalities to the north have talked about possibly buying those properties, and those costs would be eligible under the stewardship plan. The thing some farming members are concerned about is, if they apply less fertilizer and therefore their yield is somewhat less, what happens then? And that question still has not been answered.
Just the last question would be, are all the costs that are part of the testing or evaluation on private property the expense of the government, or does the landowners have to cover some of those costs as well?
What kind of testing do you mean?
Well, just for the evaluation, the whole process. Are there any costs associated with that?
So there will be, for those municipalities that require a risk management official, obviously there's a wage involved. It's very much like building official or other kind of municipal official that has that kind of responsibility. The how do we do that? Do we do that through general taxation? Do we do it through the water rate? Do we have a user fee when the risk management official comes out and does the plan? And at this point, it's early days. There's a lot of debate, and we did some early guesstimations, and it would come out to, for the risk management official only, if you did it on a water rate for the users of each well, it would come out to about $1 a month per user.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your presentation. Looking forward to the end result. And if we have any further stuff, we'll send them on.
Thank you.
Okay. 4.2, Heather Bradley is here to talk to us with proposed Bell telecommunications tower. And I have been presented with a petition from Heather with 103 names on it. So thank you, Heather, and I'll let you make your presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Reader, members of council. I'm making this presentation to council, by the way, I'm reading it, sorry, but I'm going to have to do it, so I am making this presentation to council on behalf of many residents of Fort Franks. A petition listing those residents has been compiled and handed to the mayor prior to the commencement of this meeting. On the petition are 103 names. Each of the named persons have given their verbal consent to have their name placed on the petition. As stated in my February 26th letter to council, Bell is proposing to erect a 40-meter or 130-foot telecommunications tower on the property of Seven Wings Marina at 7562 Badolph Street, Port Franks. Bell is proposing to initially install 3 antennas on the tower, and the tower will also be a co-location for other carriers, meaning that more antennas will be added. This installation would alleviate the coverage deficiencies in cell phone service that now exist in Port Franks. We are not opposed to improving cell phone service in Port Franks and recognize that cell towers are a necessary part of public infrastructure. In the second paragraph of my February 26th letter, I stated, quote, if the site is approved, Bell would enter into a 20-year lease with the owner of Seven Wings Marina, end quote. From conversations that I've had with Bell Canada's representatives subsequent to the writing of the letter, it is my understanding that Bell has already entered into a contract with the property owner and that there is an escape clause to permit Bell to withdraw from this contract. We are not in favor of the proposed location, and I will expand on that in a few moments. From conversations that I've had with Industry Canada, the federal regulatory body for telecommunication installations, it is my understanding that the best reason for the proposed installation not to proceed is the availability of another site. Lambton Shores, naturally the best place to thrive. We pride ourselves on the natural beauty of Port Franks, rare and unique flora and fauna, our sunsets, and our waterways. Port Franks is a lakeside community. The proposed location for the telecommunications tower is riverfront property. We do not feel that the addition of a 130-foot telecommunications tower will enhance the natural beauty and appeal of our community. In fact, it will have quite the opposite effect. We feel that improvement in cell phone service can be accomplished by locating the tower on a less conspicuous site away from both residential and waterfront areas. As a community, we would like to see the monies generated from a land lease with Bell to go back into the community, which would be possible if the site was on municipally owned property. We ask that council consider an alternate municipally owned site for the location of the tower. We also ask that council consider adopting a telecommunication tower protocol for the municipality of Lambton Shores. We care very deeply about our community and hope that council shares our concerns in this matter. We thank you for your time and consideration.